I was looking for God. Cause it's like in the hood, like everybody talking about somebody like, who the fuck is this guy? So I was looking for God. And so I searched in the places that I figured God would be. So I opened up the Bible and I started reading. And I was like, man, this shit don't really come together like a novel, like part 1, part 2, like it's all bunched up. So I didn't really get the picture.
Oh, did you get the picture of how much murder and
I did get the picture of that.
Yo,
right.
Yo, son, said the Bible is one of the illest books ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in doing that, I was still searching. So I said, okay, I have a perspective on that, between relatives and what I read in the Bible. And I realized that the perspective that I was given wasn't a realistic perspective. So I ventured into the Quran. And, I started.
Did the Quran seem like an easier read?
No.
No, definitely not.
It was a bunch of stories. It wasn't pieced together. It definitely wasn't chronologically correct. So I basically, I was kind of like, what the fuck? So anyway, what led me toward the Ansars is that it was the more realistic and even though there was a lot of spiritual, quote unquote, spookism,
right,
going on or in the air or insinuated, I still gravitated toward it because it was something that I felt gave me something that I can add to myself. And it was a matter of like discipline, and it was a matter of
legacy,
a community. You know what I'm saying? Because what happened was I met a brother, and he had the table on 59th Street, and it's like it was like fate because every week I would go, and after the whole monthly thing, I would go up to Bert Padell's office and pick up a check. Way before Zelle, you know what I'm saying? So go pick up a check, and he would be right there. He was selling oils, incense, and he had some books, and then he had what's known as the True Light tapes. So I was like, why not? So I started listening, and in short, a lot of the shit made sense to keep from putting y'all niggas to sleep. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it made sense. And
no, you believe it or not, there's a lot of people who would love to hear the breakdown of that information. Now, me personally, I used to battle those guys.
Oh yeah?
I knew a little something, and I would notice like some of their literature would have some obscure definitions or translations that didn't match up to what the original Hebrew text was saying.
Right.
So we used to go at it with those guys every time we seen them, because it's like, yo, why you selling this to people and it's not accurate?
Right. Misleading.
Right.
And to be totally honest with you, I had my doubts, and eventually I started doing like some of the editing for some of those books, like a little further down the line. But they didn't want me involved in that because I was putting the work in. But yeah, it was a lot of that, and a lot of it was because and I'm gonna say this, it is what it is. You had people who were not really suited to do the editing and the translations and the proper sentence structure and things of that nature. And me, in my mind, I felt like, yo, you're gonna get a certain, just like if you do a certain genre of music, you're gonna attract a certain, you know, type of people to your music.
Right.
So it's the same thing. Like I felt like, you know, you almost gonna get the dregs of society who can read a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt, and I felt that it deserved more, because that type of stuff is what people were really looking for. And I think that a lot of people sifted through the, you know, the errors or what have you, and saw the big picture.
Right.
And then some people just turned around and said like, yo, this shit is some bullshit.
Right.
You know, and that's just what happened. You know, my experience, it was rough, but it was great. It made me a lot of who I am today, as far as discipline, as far as making choices, as far as just my heart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because some things happen to you and it makes you do like the experience. Some things happen to you and make you say like, hell no, I'm gonna do the opposite because that shit is fucked up.
What prompted you to go look for God? We hear a lot of stories about hustlers who get to their last leg and, you know what I mean, they just
Go
looking
through
for
some traumatic shit.
and they're looking for redemption,
Or you just young and there's just so much shit going on around you that you like, what's the meaning of all
this is
this?
fucked
Like,
up.
because that's what I'm hearing. You said you got discipline from it, structure from it, but like, what prompted you to go looking for it in the first place?
Because I'm sort of a geek for knowledge. And it's like, that's one of the, or what I understand to be used to be one of the major stumps in life. Is like, who is God? Where is God? Why is God? You know, so, you know, I don't know if it would be even safe for me to, you know, go into like some of the things, some of the smaller things that I've learned, you know, firstly about the trick in which a lot of the books of the Bible were adapted from earlier books. You know, for instance, like the story of Noah. Noah comes from the Gilgamesh epics, you know, from ancient Babylon.
right.
You know,
There were multiple stories of the flood throughout different civilizations.
right.
Right.
So, but even as far as the character, like Noah is Utnapishtim in the Gilgamesh epics. You have, of course, you know, the Revelation story, every culture, and then you have Jesus, who has a similar accounts as Mithra, Hercules, Heru, Horus,
Osiris.
which is
Horus.
and it goes on, and it's a pantheon. What they say in Islam when they talk about Allah and the angelic beings, they say Allahumma, right? In English, of course, they say God and His angels, but they have the same names. So which one is which? Is God and Allah the same thing? Is Islam more Christian than they given, you know? And then what is it?
Elohim, the
Right,
powers,
Elohim,
and God
Allahumma.
powers, and
Right.
all that stuff.
So basically, put simply, is like, who is God? And what I found is God is you, and it's not that mind blowing, because everything is what it is to you. Because without you, it wouldn't exist. And that's kalimatullah, right? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. But it goes, I went on, but it's Nothing would exist if Allah didn't create it. He is alone, no partners has he. So everything, they just not telling you that he, whether you want to say he or she or, you know, is you.
It's within yourself.
It's you, not within, without, it's you, period.
So
Whatever
being
you-
selfish ain't so bad.
Huh?
So being selfish ain't so bad.
Nah, it's not. and good and bad is all perspective.
Yeah.
If you trying to paint the world blue and I'm trying to paint the world red, we become each other's devil. So what's the difference between, you know, but then they say Satan. But if you go into Satan, what you find out is demons, and demons in ancient Kemet was known as is a part of the microscopic universe. It has nothing to do with good or evil. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
So you learned to unlearn
Yeah.
yeah,
a
you
lot
had
of stuff
to.
you were taught.
And Satan translated as adversary.
Right.
Right.
So it's anybody could be your Satan. You know what I mean?
Right.